Today on RCAM, we are going to discuss a fat influencer who is crying about discrimination because a airline staff refused to push her in a wheelchair. We will also be discussing two degenerate pastors and the low expectation that we have for men when it comes to viewing porn. All that and more today on RCAM. All right, welcome to RCAM. I'm your host, Ryan, and thank you for tuning in today. So if you like this content, please like, subscribe, do all of those things. That really helps me out. And let's get into this. So I was first, made aware of this story, obviously on Twitter, that's where I get all my news, pretty much. And the name seemed familiar of this woman who started making a complaint against or crying about discrimination against this specific airline. And I started to think, man, this woman looks very familiar. And that's because I've seen her before. So this is the same woman, by the way. Her name is Jalen Cheney. And she was the woman who I have talked about before on a show who was ripping airlines for their seat policies and demanding that that they get free seats and because they're too overweight to fit in a seat. The Southern says, let me guess, this is a story that's going to lead me to become a crippling alcoholic. Unfortunately, yeah, but I don't recommend that. I recommend you tap into prayer, seek Jesus. Don't pick up the bottle, but it is one of those things that definitely I could understand why somebody would want to. So I just want to kind of give you a backstory. So this woman, her name is Jalen, and oh man, she's special. So this is an old story. So this is from June 14th, 2023. Plus size influencer Jalen Cheney rips plane seat policy after demanding other flyers pay for extra seat. A plus size travel influencer is demanding that airlines change their discriminatory policy so that she has a history of crying discrimination policies that make larger flyers pay twice for the same experience, admitting that making such a change may make fares for everyone more expensive. They should have to pay more. I mean, obviously, you should have. You take up more capacity, and it's entirely your fault. So yeah, you have to pay more. Sorry, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. You have to pay more money. If you don't want to pay more money, I have a great suggestion. You start hitting the treadmill, chill out on Krispy Kreme, lose some weight, and then you will be able to fit in a seat like everybody else. But if you are so morbidly obese that you cannot fit in a single seat, maybe it's time for some introspection. Maybe it's time you start to look within yourself and maybe you'll come to discover that the problem is you. But this woman has zero self-awareness, and she has made a career out of, unfortunately, being fat. And she's a fat influencer, and I hate that word because we should not have people influencing people to be fat. Exactly the opposite. We need influencers, fitness influencers, and thankfully we have them influencing people to lose weight. But fat influence, you might as well be claiming to be an anorexic influencer. That is same thing, because obesity will lead to death. That's just a fact. 40% of Americans are obese. And one of the number one issues facing America is heart disease. I wonder why. Eating excessive food Being a sloth and not getting exercise will increase your likelihood of getting a heart attack. So let's get into this story. So I'm going to play for you guys a clip, and then we'll talk about it. And she recorded this. So let's play. I'm going to make it back.
My ordeal at SeaTac Airport will shock you. This experience I'm about to share with you is yet another example of why employee sensitivity training, a demand outlined in the plus-size travel petition, is desperately needed. I'm a plus-size wheelchair user, and on a recent
plus size is a euphemism for fat. She's just fat.
Flight to the SeaTac Airport, I requested wheelchair assistance, as I always do. When it came time for me to deplane, I saw the employee who would be assisting me with my wheelchair waiting for me in the entry of the jet bridge. As I approached her and she realized she'd be assisting me and not one of the smaller passengers, she started to walk away with the wheelchair while making comments about my size. Even when I told her I really needed the chair and needed her to let me sit down in it, she blatantly ignored me and kept walking. I was then forced to walk up one of...
So, I mean, very clearly this woman is capable of walking. And can we just stop for a second and recognize that, what if this poor woman just physically was incapable of doing it? What if she saw her mass and was like, oh no, my arms cannot push somebody that heavy? Can't we have a little sympathy for her? We don't know what she's struggling with. We don't know her limitations. Maybe she did, and that's why she walked away, because she realized she just could not do it. And yeah.
The longest jet bridges I've encountered, and she didn't stop. By the time
don't drink. Don't drink. Don't do it.
She let me reach the wheelchair and sit down, my lips were white. My oxygen levels had dropped and I almost fainted. This was my first time flying without oxygen. This woman just assumed I could walk and would rather me do that, instead of her having to push someone my size up the jet bridge. All the other attendants wheeled their passengers up the jet bridge, but my needs were disregarded. This is discrimination. Nobody should be treated this way. Share your story at change.org/size travel.
Good God. So oh man. All right. Yeah. How about that drink? The fact that you need, you cannot walk up the ramp or whatever, and you need a wheelchair, is an indicator that you are too fat. That's just reality. You are too obese. And if it's a struggle for you to just walk, you need to lose weight. This is exactly the point. And yet you are an influencer trying to get culture to bend to your whim instead of doing what you need to do to lose the weight. So we have to restructure all of society. We have to inconvenience women to push your weight because you are unwilling to do what you need to do to lose weight. It's insane. It is absolutely a crazy town. Cly writes, I can't help. I'm sorry. They do this to themselves. They do. They absolutely do it. They completely bring it on themselves. They're about to have a special plane for big folks. It's coming. Perhaps they should have a special plane for gay. No, they probably do. They probably do. Or they probably will. But no, actually what I think is going to happen is they're going to start charging regular people to extra and giving these fat, morbidly obese people free seats. So you don't get a seat because you're doing everything right, and they get rewarded for eating Krispy Kreme. It's just backwards to me. It's just insane to me. In fact, we should get discounts for doing the right thing. They should charge extra, not just for the other seat, but for just the overall spillage into other people's seats. So let's say this person takes up 2 seats. Well, now they're spilling over into somebody else's seat too. So they should be charged extra for that. I should be compensated for that because I have to deal with that. Imagine just sitting like this on a boat. No, we should get a discount. They should be charged more because we're doing the right thing by exercising. I think that is the way. I think we would be a much healthier society if that was the approach that we took. And we need to start incentivizing people losing weight. I was reading a tweet by Zuby earlier. I couldn't find it, but he was talking about he predicts, in the next couple of years that 50% of the population is going to be overweight, and I believe it. As long as we keep making accommodations for these people, as long as we have people that are fat influencers, and I don't know if you guys remember that there was a video about fat influencers dying from heart, they were fat influencers, and then there was like this compilation video of I hate to use her as an example, or him as an example, but Robert White, aka Blair White, was talking about how they all died. A lot of fat influence just dead. Why? Because they had heart attacks. And one of the most compassionate things that we can actually do for these people is encourage them to lose weight. Yeah, if I saw this woman in the gym, I'd celebrate her. If I saw her making positive steps to lose weight, I would celebrate that. If I saw her taking personal responsibility, that's worthy to be celebrated. Cly writes, "Don't drink. You don't want the extra calories." Yeah, she's right. Don't do it. Before you know it, you'll be down the slippery slope of being a fat influencer, and that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing that we could possibly want. Worst outcome. So don't do it. Speaking of fat influencers, this is kind of a related story. All right. So this is from the New York Post. So New York correction officer shares racist biscuit and gravy post about Georgia jail, sparking investigation. A veteran Westchester County correction sergeant is under investigation for a racist and offensive social media post ridiculing the jail guard, officials told the Post. Sergeant Michael Borhill off-color post shows a group photo of the Georgia Department of Corrections, most who are black and some appear overweight, with the title, "Damn, they must serve good biscuits and gravy at Georgia Department of Corrections." So I'm going to show you guys the image. And I want you to tell me, do you actually think he's being racist here? So this is the photo. Yes, majority of these women are black, but there's also something that all of them have in common. They're morbidly obese. That's the joke. It's not because they're black. It's because they're morbidly obese. so the joke was not racist at all. But we live in a country that has to make everything about race, even when it's not there. This is clearly about their weight. And it's just more dishonest reporting, man. And he's right. He's like, I cannot believe that this many obese people are working in a single place. Like when they all go on one floor, does it start to buckle? I think it's bad. And I also think we need to start raising the standards of our corrections officers and law enforcement in general. We should not have fat police officers, period. We should not have them, especially some that are this fat. I mean, dude, you could just push this woman down and she's not going to be able to get back up. Do you really want people like this guarding prisoners? And then their default, because they're not going to be able to move or get back up, is to use lethal force, or we're setting people up for failure. So what we need to do is have weight requirements. We do need to discriminate a little bit, just a little bit, to get people back in shape. Just don't be morbidly obese, and you have to keep up with it while you're in a police department or while you're in corrections, because it's important. Because you're entrusted with guarding prisoners, and if you're a police officer, you're entrusted with catching criminals. Sometimes that involves running. If you are unable to run or take 2 steps, and suddenly you're struggling to breathe, then it's a sign that you probably need to lose weight. So I think we need to have rigorous standards for physical fitness, especially in law enforcement. Period. You need those because if you are unable to perform your duties physically, people's lives are at stake. Your own life is at stake. So it's not a good situation. But yet they have to make everything about racism. It's so frustrating because we live in a society that tries to see racism even when it's not there, and even when it's flagrantly about something else. In this case, it's about obesity. And I just think we need to scale it back a little bit, just use some common sense. And luckily, people are discerning. They're easily able to look at the photo and prove that this wasn't racism. Unfortunately, I do feel for this guy because, if he's working corrections, then he's likely going to probably lose his job anyway. Yeah, he's under investigation for making a joke. We should not live in a society where you're under investigation for making a joke, especially one that's not even racist. So I hope this guy doesn't get fired, but he probably is. All right, moving on to the next disturbing story. This one makes me pray, Lord, please come now. We need you. This is how disturbing this story is. All right.
Yes. So pretty much about me is that I grew up in a small town called Yuba City. It's in Northern California. And then fast forward, I went to Bible school where actually I felt the call to ministry, actually to become evangelist. And the first day I saw my husband, I just told him, "You're going to be my best friend." I just blurted it out because I just later of knowing each other, we just knew we were in for the long haul and we were going to get married. And 4 years later, just because we are Asian, so our parents said you have to do school first before you.
Just real quick, this guy, I guess he's a hypnotist too. So he has this QR code wanting people to ask him about hypnosis. Yeah, I'm sure he is a hypnotist.
You get married.
Mainly your mom.
Yeah. So we totally followed it. We graduated and we got married.
Yeah, that's how we met. Mm-hmm. Now, okay, we met at Bible college. Now, how the heck did you land in porn?
Yeah.
That's the question of the hour.
So I would probably say I guess when we.
Yeah, that is the question. How do you go from being called to an evangelist to suddenly doing pornography? How does that happen?
First moved to San Diego, we're looking for a job, and we got hit hard with the 08-09 crash. And so I was on Craigslist and I was looking for a job, and I saw work at home and make good money a week. And I landed on webcamming, and that kind of slowly opened the door. I did really, really well on Flirt for Free. That was my first website that I was on. And I did so well that years later on, I said, I want to actually take it to the next level. I want to get into porn. And I asked my husband about it, and I was like, what do you think?
I'll tell you what I think. I think this man is the epitome of being pathetic. Just a weak, pathetic specimen. That if my wife even hinted at something like this, our relationship would probably be coming to an end. If she even hinted at it. So the fact that this man put up with his wife stripping for strangers online, pathetic. And then the fact that he allowed her to enter into porn, horrendous and unspeakably evil and demonic.
And how was your response to it when I asked?
Well, we've been kinky couple.
Yeah.
Even back in freshman year in college.
Yeah.
So I definitely am not opposed to the lifestyle, but we're pastors.
Yeah.
We went to college.
Pastors for the synagogue of Satan. These people are demons.
go and be ministers. Like, that was the weird thing about it, is the aspect of that is who we were. We were ministers. We were Christian. We were religious.
Yeah.
And it was like, wait, how the heck are we going to go ahead and justify what we're doing?
Oh, yeah.
And so
You can't justify it. There's no justification for what they did because it's evil and satanic. I don't know what the end of their story is. I don't know if they ended up leaving the faith. Well, I imagine they did leave the faith because they were demons, basically, and started behaving like demons and peddling porn and claiming Christ. That's the literal definition of taking Christ's name in vain, claiming Christ, and then your behavior does not match up with Scripture, does not match up with the Word, and that's what these people were doing. And it's a damn shame. And it's just more of this porn culture, unfortunately, that we see, and unfortunately, it's seeping into the church, and I find it absolutely abhorrent and detestable. And I'm at this point where it's just getting increasingly more frustrating seeing people make defenses of porn. We actually kind of got into it again with Pearly Davis, Pearly things about pornography, because basically, she made an excuse for watching or alluded to the fact that if men aren't getting married, that they might as well have watch pornography. So I'll show you her tweet real quick. We're also going to be talking about this a little bit more in a space, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But this is the tweet. If women do not want to have sex with young men, she's responding to Candace Owens' tweet. Ban pornography. It's a psychological weapon intended to weaken our men. If women do not want to have sex with young men, what are men supposed to do? Be abstinent until the 30-year-old women decide they are ready to have sex with them. Yes, actually, they should be abstinent. And the obvious implication is that she is suggesting that if they can't get married until they're 30, they might as well look at porn. Like that is the implication that she's giving in this tweet. That's that is. So Pearl likes to obfuscate and be like, I'm just making observations. I'm just the red pill is descriptive. I'm not giving prescriptions. Well, you're not telling them what they should do instead. You're only presenting one option. If she had followed up with this, well, they're not going to be married until they're 30. So maybe they should start pursuing ministry or pursuing other things to idle their time. But no, her implication is that they should watch porn. And I've been accused of misrepresenting her. I'm not misrepresenting her. This is what she's getting at. This is intentional now. This is what she's getting at. And one of my problems right now, too, overall, is that we have such low expectations for men. We can't even expect men to not pull down their pants and masturbate to strangers online. That's the bare minimum that we should be expecting from. Yes, I expect men to have self-control. I expect men to not pleasure themselves to strangers online. I expect men, especially men that are husbands, to honor their wives and to honor the Lord and to not give in to temptation. And I believe that men can. Actually, I do. Do I think it's easy? No, I think there's challenges. I think it is an uphill battle, but one that we are capable of winning. We live in a society that bombards us with porn. We are inundated with it day in and day out. You can't scroll on Twitter without, unfortunately, being exposed to it. So I get that makes it difficult. And if it's so difficult for you to avoid it, or not be tempted by it, then you probably should not be on social media. I'm just being real. And it would be better for you. You would be better off for it. But I do think men are capable of overcoming this. I do think that men can stop watching pornography. I do. I 100% believe it. Why? Because I have. And I know many other men who have. where they quit. And then there were some people talking about how bringing up the point that most of the men subscribing to women's OnlyFans pages are married men. And I suspect that the reason for that is because married men had the habit before they got married. So they have years of this bad habit. And I don't like calling it an addiction, because I feel to a degree that kind of robs us of our autonomy. I also think, too, pretending like men can't overcome porn is infantilizing. Like, we are infantilizing men. And I don't think that's a good thing. I think we should encourage them and remind them that they can have self-control. And I think that's one of the peak things that we need to start teaching again, is self-control, is being able to show some self-restraint. And there are a lot of steps too. Like, I want you guys to realize I'm not trying to absolve the prostitutes. No, they're just as culpable. They should not be peddling this stuff to begin with. It's disgusting and evil and wicked, and they should also stop. I get that. But men, too, have autonomy. We are not helpless victims. We don't trip into watching porn. No, it's an intentional action. You decide to open that browser. You decide to type in that link. You decide to click the link. You decide to scroll through the videos. You decide to click on a video. You decide to pull down you decide to do all these things. No one is making you do it. You are doing it. So the responsibility falls on you. It's not like a gun is held to your head. You are a man, and you need to take responsibility for your own actions and not blame other people. Oh, she tempted me. No, we'll have some self-control. All right. We're gonna deal with temptation. That's part of life. We are supposed to resist temptation, especially as a Christian. One of the jobs of the Holy Spirit is to empower us to resist temptation. And we are to flee from the adulterous woman. In this case, the OnlyFans prostitute. Get away from them. Remove yourself from them. Remove yourself from that situation. Pray. Call a friend. There's lots of things that you can do where it doesn't involve you debasing yourself and dehumanizing yourself. And in the process, dehumanizing the women that you are looking at. You are better than that. And I'd like to believe the best in men. I'd like to believe that we can overcome this. I'd like to believe that he who is in us is greater than he who is in the world. I would like to believe that the Holy Spirit will not lead us in temptation, but will deliver us from it. That's what I would like to believe. And that's what I'll choose to believe. And I believe a man can gain control over his emotions through discipline. Training yourself to do things that you don't want to do. And training yourself to resist things that you do want to do. Cultivate discipline, especially if you're a young man. Start cultivating that habit now. Go to the gym. Get in there. I don't care if you don't want to. Get up and go. Go for a run. Do hard things. Find something challenging in life to do it, and don't stop until it's complete. Take control of your life. As Jordan Peterson says, make your bed. But start taking responsibility. Start doing it in the little areas of your life. And then I think you'll be better equipped to overcome some of the larger strongholds in your life. Attend church. But start putting yourself in positions where you're going to have to develop discipline. You're going to have to cultivate that. And I think you'll be better off for it. And obviously, cultivate a lifestyle of prayer and reading the Bible. That is one of the core disciplines that you should have as a man. It should be part of your everyday life. because that will help you infinitely more than everything else. And then obviously, the gym and other things will help you. But I think if you start to do some of those things, that you will be much better off. All right. That's going to be it for now. I will be back at 9 o'clock on X. I'll be doing spaces with a couple of guys, so I'm really looking forward to that. We are going to be discussing porn and the low expectations that we have for men. So it should be a really good discussion. I hope you join. And as always, if you like this content, please like, share, subscribe, comment. I love hearing from you guys. And thank you for tuning in. Have a blessed night. Deuces.